Alright there, this is the doomed Pielord speaking to you today about evolution of the human kind, also known as the Homo sapiens. We are going to be traveling today through the realms of the humanoid evolution. We're not going to be talking about the bacteria or the dinosaurs, even though their death sort of made way for our rise. But no, we are going to be talking about the starting off though in a earlier time period than when the actual evolution started to begin. Since this evolution was sort of like a bush-like shape, we had many different kinds of creatures interacting with each other, causing many different kinds of different differentiation between creatures. Um, Generally, we depict the groups and the similar species in a single timeline, like what we do today. We are all Homo sapiens. And we might have Neanderthal blood in us, but we're mainly Homo sapien. Anyways, so we start off with the Afarensis. And, well, according to the tree we're starting maybe 15,000 years ago, I think. Quickly pull up some data. 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago. So definitely a long time ago. Generally, these Afarensis were ape-like. What I mean by that is they don't have the sloped brow, they don't have the pointed out chin that we do. We have those characteristics compared to them. What we do have, however, is a human-like skull, almost like a gorilla mixed with a human, mixed with a chimp. It's a interesting mixture of large eye, big nosed, ape-like. It's definitely more natural living than what we're used to. As we continue down this tree, we're going to be going down several of these lines. We're going to be going through, well, the Australopithecus, and then we're going to go to the Paranthropus. We're going to touch them. We're only going to touch two in this entire conversation. But back to Lucy, because I kind of went off on a tangent there. Lucy was found in the Horn of Africa, if you understand what I mean by that. It's a very mountain-like terrain where you can see definite shapes that evolve, and they find a lot of fossils over in that area. We know about the timeline that the environment was causing the Afarensis species to sort of be pushed out of the normal theme of the jungle sort of feel of Africa to the more, how should I put it, dry climate of Africa, where we have savanna, more savanna, less trees, less water that is going to these trees. We don't have as much canopy cover, so you start to see these animals start to adapt to it. And one of the things that Afarensis was able to do, which is particularly interesting, is they were able to stand on two legs, and walk around. Not for very long though. Afarensis seems to still have its ape-like qualities, where it can just hang on to trees, stay in trees, basically consider themselves apes, still monkeys, still climbing around, still doing everything. But they're not monkeys. I should probably clarify. When I mean monkey, I'm generally talking about chimpanzees, more ape than monkey. I'm not talking about spider monkeys, or anything other than the Australopithecus or the Afarensis or anything else. It's just game, set, match. When I say monkey, I mean ape, I want to get that clarified before I make any more mistakes. So not monkey, ape. Afarensis, Lucy, as we go back to, it was definitely more ape-like. We notice this in this Anthropithecus group that they are generally more ape-like. Not generally like root grazers, more like leaf and small insects. So they are getting proteins to supply this brain size, but it's not really generally put upon that they might have had bugs, the eaten bugs. Though we can examine modern apes like chimpanzees and gorillas that can tell us that they probably did grooming, which meant eating bugs and other things. Lucy, the Afarensis bone, the most famous one, Lucy, as I will continue to go back to, it was a she, and they can tell this by the bone structure of how her bones were placed. What you might find interesting is the teeth shape. This is where we start to notice changing in the teeth of modern humans. When we continue going down the line, you'll notice it's a defined change, where instead of having like teeth built for eating plants, we start to dull our teeth out, and we start to have more sharper, more canine-ish, more rip into flesh kind of canines? No, jaws the word. So yeah, want to make sure my mic's like this so you guys can hear me, because I'm not talking very loud. This is definitely a first recording. None of this is written down. So yeah, Africanos. We're moving on to that interesting species. I'm gonna pull up some information while I continue to rant about the Australopitheci, because they're interesting. So the Australopithecus is the family that basically, they were two-legged hominids that walked around in a timeline that generally meant that they would be in a desert, savanna-like climate. Now, I've pulled up some Africanus data. Let me quickly go over some of this stuff. Okay, most of these Africanus were not like, we assume that they're direct ancestors. They could be. I could disagree with that, though. From what I'm looking at right now, they're small. They seem to be almost the same size as Lucy, almost exactly. They are, however, younger, because they were like 2.4 million years later than Lucy was remained to be found. It had a larger brain, is what it's telling me. I could agree with that. It had a larger brain mainly because it seems bigger than the 3 foot tall Afarensis, which would explain a lot. These were also bipedal, 2-legged. They probably wobbled more than they strutted, or wobbled rather than shuffled. So I like to call it the penguin shuffle, because who doesn't like penguins? But yeah, not a lot. They were found in the horn. We don't see them moving out of this horn, and it becomes through in the environment, I guess. It shows that they've evolved to walk more, but we still have curved fingers for trees, but it's not as dominant as their two-footed sort of way. Um, yeah, it's interesting because Lucy seems to be like a direct ancestor to these guys, and these guys were bigger. We could probably take that as they have a little more room to walk around instead of in the jungle where we see pygmy stuff because the trees are shadowing and you don't want to be hitting your head on a tree. Instead, you get creatures that evolve smaller, and from what I can tell from my data, is that they they are getting taller. Not by much, but they are getting taller to the point where we could almost definitely say that uh, they are evolving, and it's not much different than that of Lucy, other than the mandibles seem to extend further out more like an ape. As I'll continue to say, you'll hear me say that quite often with the later species because they are more ape-like than than us and all the other creatures in the Homo group, and we'll get to that one. Now we move to the Bossii,